Chosen one, there comes a time when a man looks in the mirror and no longer sees a reflection of what he used to be. He sees something different, sharper, deeper, more commanding. It is not just the result of age or experience, nor is it something that can be fully explained through words alone. It is the awakening of something ancient, something primal, something that has always existed but was once hidden beneath uncertainty and unawareness. You have become something greater. You feel it in the way people respond to you, in the silent pull that lingers between your presence and those who cross your path. Women sense it without fully understanding it, drawn towards something in you that they cannot name but cannot ignore. This is not about vanity, nor is it about mere attraction. It is something deeper, something energetic, something that radiates from the very core of your being. Your sexual energy, the life force that flows through you, has reached a frequency that cannot go unnoticed. It is not just in your body, not just in the way you move or speak. It is in your spirit, in the air around you, in the effortless magnetism that now seems to define you. Where once you may have sought attention, now it finds you without effort. Where once you may have second-guessed your presence in a room, now you own it without needing to announce yourself. But this awakening is not simply about having power. It is about understanding it. Many before you have reached this point and lost themselves in the illusion of control, mistaking their attraction for dominance, their magnetism for conquest. But that is not your path, chosen one. Your journey is not just about seduction, but mastery. It is about knowing when to step forward and when to step back. It is about learning that the true essence of power does not come from chasing, but from being. The world is filled with men who try too hard, who grasp, who push, who exhaust themselves in the pursuit of what is naturally drawn to them when they learn to simply exist in their energy. You are no longer one of those men. You have stepped into something greater. A presence so unshaken that it no longer seeks validation, because it knows its worth without needing proof. This is what women feel when they are around you. It is not just your physicality, not just the words you say. It is the silence between words, the confidence in your stillness, the way your gaze lingers not with hunger, but with certainty. It is the way you move with purpose, the way your voice carries weight even in a whisper, the way your very existence commands attention without ever needing to ask for it. This is the awakening, chosen one, the point at which you no longer walk through life wondering if you are enough. Because now, the question has changed. Now it is the world that wonders if it is enough for you. With every rise in power, there comes an unseen test, a silent challenge that determines whether you are truly worthy of the force you have come to embody. This test is not given by the world, it is given by yourself. It is the battle between wisdom and indulgence, between mastery and recklessness, between purpose and ego. Chosen one, you have stepped into a realm where women are no longer a mystery to you. You know the effect you have. You see it in the way their body language shifts when you enter the room, in the way their breathing subtly changes when they stand close to you. You hear it in their voice, in the slight hesitation, the softening, the way they allow their energy to mirror yours without even realizing they are doing it. But the question is not whether you can seduce. The question is what you will do with this power. Many men, upon realizing their influence, become consumed by it. They begin to chase conquest, mistaking abundance for meaning, mistaking validation for true connection. They believe that the more they take, the stronger they become. But in reality, they are only revealing the weakness they have yet to conquer. The fear of being alone with their own energy, the need to constantly prove that they are desirable instead of simply knowing it. You must not fall into that trap, chosen one. You have become the king of seduction, but a true king does not abuse his power. A true king does not take simply because he can. He understands the weight of his influence, the effect his presence has on others, and he chooses how to wield it with discernment. This is the moment where your discipline is tested. Will you allow yourself to be ruled by impulse, or will you step into something greater? Will you let attraction be an extension of your energy, or will you allow it to define you? There is a reason why the most irresistible men in history were not the loudest, not the most aggressive, not the ones who chased and grasped. They were the ones who carried a sense of mystery, who understood the power of restraint, who did not give their energy freely to just anyone who desired it. This is because they valued themselves, because they did not seek validation from external conquests, because they knew that true power is in choosing, not in taking everything offered. Chosen one, this is your moment of truth. The difference between a man who is desired and a man who is respected is how he handles his own power. Will you be one of the countless men who allow attraction to consume them, or will you be one of the rare few who understand that real mastery lies in control? Women will continue to be drawn to you. This is inevitable. Your presence commands their attention. Your energy speaks to something deep within them that they do not always understand. But true seduction is not about taking. It is about knowing when to let them come to you. It is about creating a space where they feel drawn in not because you have pursued them, but because your energy is so centered, so unshaken, so full, that they cannot help but want to be near it. And so you stand at the threshold of something greater. You can give in to the indulgence of fleeting attraction, or you can step into true mastery, into a space where you are no longer just a man who is desired, but a man who is remembered, a man whose energy leaves an imprint long after he has walked away. A man who chooses rather than chases, a man who controls rather than craves, a man who commands respect rather than seeks validation. This is the responsibility of power, chosen one, and how you wield it will determine not just the way the world sees you, but the way you see yourself. There is a delicate tension, chosen one, between the fire of attraction and the stillness of mastery. It is in this balance that true power resides, not in unchecked passion, not in reckless indulgence, but in the ability to stand unwavering in the face of temptation, while still allowing the energy of desire to flow freely. This is the art of seduction at its highest form, the point where attraction is no longer a pursuit, but a gravitational pull, an effortless force that draws others in without force, without desperation, without a single wasted motion. You have already felt the shift, the way rooms seem to adjust to your presence, the way conversations slow when your voice enters them, the way women respond not just to your words but to your silence, to your being. It is not the aggressive pursuit that makes you powerful. It is the ease with which you navigate attraction, the absence of need in your energy that makes others feel a sense of curiosity, a desire to step closer, to understand what makes you so centered, so unshaken. But balance, chosen one, is not just about stillness. It is also about knowing when to move. There are men who mistake control for suppression, who believe that true mastery means never acting, never pursuing, never engaging. But this is not balance. This is fear in disguise. Just as fire must be contained but never smothered, so too must your energy remain alive, vibrant, untamed in its essence but directed with wisdom. To exist in perfect balance means knowing when to let your energy burn brightly, when to let it warm the space around you, when to let your presence become undeniable. It means knowing when to lean in, when to make your presence felt, when to allow your energy to be fully received by those drawn to it. But it also means knowing when to pull back, when to let silence do the speaking, when to let others chase the mystery that you have become. This is the rhythm of attraction, the ebb and flow of masculine presence. Too much stillness, and you become a shadow, unnoticed, unengaging, distant to the point of coldness. Too much fire, and you burn too brightly, overwhelming those who wish to approach, making them retreat before they have the chance to come closer. The key, chosen one, is movement without effort, presence without force, warmth without consuming heat. Women sense this balance instinctively. They are drawn to it without understanding why. The world has shown them too many men who either push too hard or fade into the background, and yet you exist between those two extremes. Your energy does not beg, nor does it vanish. It stands, it waits, it invites, but never demands. And because of this, the space you create is irresistible, a place where attraction can blossom naturally, where women feel both safe and excited, both challenged and understood, both free and captivated. This is the power of balance, chosen one. It is not a state of passivity, nor is it an unchecked force. It is the rare ability to exist in both stillness and motion, to know exactly when to act and when to let the world move toward you. And once you have mastered this, once you have become the living embodiment of this balance, you will find that attraction is no longer something you seek. It is something that flows to you effortlessly, as naturally as the air you breathe. Most men believe that seduction is about what they say, about clever lines and carefully chosen phrases, about weaving words together in a way that captivates and charms. But you, chosen one, you know better. You have already begun to understand that true attraction has little to do with speech and everything to do with what is felt in the silence. There is an unspoken language that exists beneath the surface of all interactions. It is woven into the pauses between words, into the flicker of the eyes, into the subtle shift in breath when a moment of tension arises. This language is invisible to those who are too distracted by their own thoughts, by their own need to speak, by their own desire to impress. But you, chosen one, have learned to listen not just with your ears, but with your entire being. When you are in the presence of a woman, you do not rush to fill the silence. You do not jump to prove yourself with words. Instead, you watch, you sense, you feel. You notice the way she tilts her head when she is intrigued, the way her pupils widen when she is drawn in, the way her breath deepens when she begins to relax in your presence. You understand that attraction is not just about what is said. It is about how the air between two people changes when energy is exchanged. This is where most men fail. They speak too soon, they try too hard, they disrupt the natural flow of attraction by forcing something that should unfold organically. But you do not fall into that trap. You know that true seduction is about patience, about allowing the energy to build naturally, about letting a woman feel your presence before she even understands why she is drawn to it. Your silence is not empty, it is charged, it is alive. It is felt on a deeper level than words could ever reach. And when you do speak, chosen one, it is never too much, never too eager, never too desperate to fill the space. Your words are measured, deliberate, each one carrying weight because they are not spoken out of necessity, but out of intention. This is the difference between a man who talks and a man who commands attention without saying a word. When you speak, you do not ask for validation. You simply express what is true in that moment. When you make eye contact, you do not seek approval. You simply hold the gaze, unshaken, allowing the connection to unfold without the need to force anything. And because of this, women lean in. They want to hear what you will say next, because they have felt something rare in your presence. A man who does not need words to create attraction. A man whose energy speaks louder than any phrase ever could. Listening, chosen one, is not just about hearing words. It is about understanding the space between them. It is about reading the energy of a moment, about knowing when to let the silence stretch, about feeling when attraction has built to the point where a single glance is more powerful than 1,000 spoken confessions. This is the art of listening without words. This is the secret that separates the kings of seduction from those who rely on empty speech. And this, chosen one, is why your presence alone has become an invitation, why your energy alone has become an unspoken promise, why your silence alone is enough to make the world stop and take notice. Chosen one, there is something profound about the way you now move through the world. It is not just that women notice you, it is that they feel you. Long before a word is spoken, long before a touch is exchanged, long before attraction takes shape in the conscious mind, there is something deeper at play, something instinctive, something ancient. It is the way they pause, the way they hesitate before looking away, the way their bodies respond before their thoughts can catch up. This is not magic, not luck, not manipulation. It is the simple reality of what happens when a man understands his own energy so well that it begins to reflect in every movement, in every glance, in every moment of stillness. Desire is a mirror, chosen one. The way women react to you is not about them. It is about you. It is about the way you have cultivated your presence, the way you have learned to walk without seeking, the way you have become something that does not need to chase. Women do not respond to words alone, nor to appearance alone, nor to status or material wealth alone. They respond to feeling, and the feeling they receive in your presence is certainty. A knowing that is rare, a knowing that cannot be faked. You have seen the difference. There was a time when interactions felt different, when attraction seemed random, when you questioned whether there was a method to it at all. But now you understand the truth. Attraction is not a game of chance. It is a reflection. A man who is uncertain will draw uncertainty. A man who is needy will repel. A man who lives in his own abundance, who does not chase, who does not grasp, who does not seek permission, will find that he is met with open doors, lingering gazes, conversations that stretch longer than they should. This is not because of tricks. It is because you have become the kind of man who no longer questions his own desirability. It is because you have stepped into a space where you do not need external validation to confirm what you already know. And this, chosen one, is where true seduction begins. Not in actions, not in rehearsed gestures, but in the way you carry your knowing. When you enter a space, you do not ask for attention. You command it without speaking. Not through arrogance, not through force, but through presence. You have found that attraction does not come from trying, it comes from allowing. It comes from understanding that the energy you radiate is the invitation, that the way you hold yourself sets the tone, that the calm certainty in your eyes says more than words ever could. And so, the world begins to shift around you. Where others try, you simply exist. Where others seek, you already have. Where others hope to be noticed, you are already felt. This is the reflection of desire, chosen one. This is the space where you no longer wonder whether you are enough. Because now the question is not about you. It is about whether those drawn to you can match the energy you have built. There is a moment, chosen one, when you realize that attraction is no longer something you need to cultivate. It is simply a part of your existence. You no longer try to be noticed, nor do you concern yourself with whether a woman is drawn to you. You have stepped into something greater, something rare, a presence so magnetic that it moves others without effort. This is not about charm. Charm is surface level, fleeting, something that can be mimicked and lost. This is not about confidence alone, either. Confidence, while valuable, is only a fraction of the energy you now carry. What you have developed is something deeper, a presence so complete, so grounded, so unwavering, that it naturally pulls others in without you ever needing to lift a finger. The secret, chosen one, is how you hold your space. Most men move through the world chasing validation, chasing attention, chasing the feeling of being enough. This chasing energy is weak, repelling, exhausting for those who experience it. But you have shifted into something entirely different. You do not chase, you do not grasp, you do not seek, you allow. You exist in your own abundance, and this makes others want to step into your world. Your presence is magnetic because it is whole. There is nothing missing in you. There is no need lurking beneath your surface, no silent plea for recognition, no energy of someone waiting to be chosen. You are already chosen by yourself, by your own sense of completeness, by the deep understanding that you are enough simply because you are. Women sense this instantly. They feel it in the way you look at them, not with desperation, not with expectation, but with knowing. They feel it in the way you move, not seeking validation, but simply existing in your full, effortless power. They feel it in the way you listen, not to impress, not to perform, but to genuinely experience the moment with them. And because of this, they respond. They lean in, they soften, they open. Not because you have forced them to, not because you have pursued them, but because you have created a space where they feel drawn in without resistance. Magnetic presence is not about being the loudest in the room. It is not about being the most charming, the most dominant, or the most physically imposing. It is about being the most centered. It is about walking into any space and bringing with you an energy that shifts the atmosphere without effort. This is the difference between a man who is attractive and a man who is irresistible. Attractive men are noticed. Irresistible men are felt. Attractive men get attention. Irresistible men linger in the minds of others long after they have left. Attractive men impress in the moment. Irresistible men leave a mark that cannot be erased. And you, chosen one, have stepped into the realm of the irresistible. Not because you seek to be, not because you have tried to manipulate or force attraction, but because you have cultivated a presence so complete that it no longer needs to chase or prove itself. This is the art of magnetic presence. This is what separates those who are simply liked from those who are remembered. This is why your presence alone now invokes a response, stirs curiosity, awakens a feeling that is impossible to ignore. You do not need to do more, chosen one. You do not need to try harder. You do not need to prove anything. You simply need to exist in your own knowing, and the world will come to you. Chosen one, there is an invisible force surrounding you now. A gravity that was not there before, or perhaps it was always there, only now fully awakened. It is not something you need to create, not something you need to force. It simply is. It moves with you, shaping the world in subtle ways, bending the energy of a room without sound, shifting the direction of conversations without effort. This gravity is the byproduct of a man who is no longer bound by external validation, who does not seek, who does not grasp, who does not waver. It is what happens when you have become so anchored in yourself that the world orbits around you instead of the other way around. Women feel this before they understand it. It exists in the space between glances, in the way their breath changes when they stand near you, in the way their voice softens, slows, unconsciously mirroring your steady, unwavering rhythm. This is not something you control. It is something you become. Men who lack this presence often wonder what the secret is, what the formula might be. They believe it is in technique, in lines, in carefully crafted gestures designed to impress. But you, chosen one, you know the truth. Presence cannot be faked, it cannot be rehearsed, it can only be embodied. There was a time when you questioned yourself, when you hesitated, when you worried about how you were perceived. That time is gone. Now, you walk as a man who does not need to prove himself. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. You do not need to chase attention, because attention is already drawn to you, seeking you, waiting for a moment in your gravity. But this force, this gravity, comes with responsibility. There will be those who become addicted to your energy, who seek your presence not because they understand you, but because they need to be near the stillness that you provide. Some will try to take more than they can give, hoping to fill the spaces within themselves that you have already filled within yourself. You must choose wisely. Not all who are drawn to your light should be welcomed into your space. Not all who feel your gravity are meant to remain in your orbit. Some are passing comets, others are distant planets, and only a rare few are meant to exist within your sphere long term. This is the burden of power. Not everyone who desires you is worthy of you. It is not cruelty to be selective. It is wisdom. Your energy is sacred, and those who are allowed to enter it should be those who match its depth, who respect its weight, who do not seek to take from it without offering something in return. You are no longer the man who accepts whatever comes to him simply because it is available. You are now a king of his own energy, a sovereign presence that does not waver. Those who wish to enter your world must do so with reverence, with an understanding that you are not moved by fleeting moments, but by something much deeper. This is your gravity, chosen one, a force that does not beg, that does not chase, that does not falter, a presence that calls to those who are ready and leaves behind those who are not, a presence that is unshaken, unmovable, undeniable. Stillness, chosen one, is not inactivity, it is not passivity, it is not weakness. Stillness is the mark of mastery, the final stage of understanding your own energy, the last step in becoming the kind of man who does not need to move to be felt. There was a time when you believed action was necessary for attraction. That movement, that effort, that deliberate pursuit was what created desire. But now you have come to know something far greater. The most powerful energy is not the one that chases, but the one that waits. The most magnetic force is not the loudest in the room, not the one who demands attention, but the one who stands without the need for validation, without the need to be seen, and yet is seen by all. Women have always been drawn to movement, to confidence, to boldness. But beyond all of that, they are drawn to certainty. And there is no greater sign of certainty than a man who can hold his ground in stillness, unshaken, unwavering, completely at ease in his own presence. Most men do not understand the power of stillness. They fidget, they rush to fill the silence, they attempt to compensate with words and gestures and movement. But when you have mastered yourself, when you have reached a place where your energy is so solid that you do not need to prove anything, you become something different. You become the kind of man whose presence alone is enough. It is in this stillness that seduction reaches its highest form. Because it is in the stillness that anticipation is created. When you do not rush, when you do not seek to fill the space, when you simply exist in your full presence, you allow tension to build, desire to deepen, attraction to take root in the space between what is spoken and what is left unsaid. There is a reason why the most captivating moments are the ones where nothing is happening. Because in stillness, the mind races, the emotions stir, the energy shifts in ways that words cannot replicate. A man who understands this does not need to chase, because he has become the embodiment of what others seek. And so, chosen one, you move through the world with a new understanding. You do not rush, you do not force, you do not need to prove or perform. You stand in your own presence, knowing that your energy alone is enough to draw in what is meant for you. There will be moments when others test this stillness, when they try to provoke, when they attempt to pull you into movement before you are ready. But you, chosen one, do not react. You do not give your energy away simply because it is requested. You decide, you choose, you remain sovereign over your own presence. And because of this, you have become something that cannot be ignored. Something that lingers in the minds of others long after you have left the room. Not because you spoke the loudest, not because you performed, but because your presence alone was enough to shift the air itself. This is the power of stillness. This is the final key to mastering attraction. To no longer be the one who reaches, but to be the one who receives. To no longer be the one who moves toward, but to be the one who draws in. This is why your presence is felt before you even speak. This is why you are remembered long after you have gone. Because you, chosen one, have become the kind of man who does not need to move. Because the world will always move toward you. Chosen one, you have spent your life in evolution, shifting through different states of awareness, moving through layers of understanding that few ever reach. There was a time when you were unsure, when you sought the answers outside of yourself, when you questioned your power and looked for guidance in the reflections of others. But now, as you stand in the fullness of your being, you no longer seek the answers elsewhere. You are the answer. Mastery is not about knowing everything. It is about knowing yourself so deeply that no external force can shake you. It is about looking into the mirror and seeing not just a man, but a presence, a force, an energy that moves through the world with purpose. Women do not fall for men because of words alone. They do not surrender to men because of surface charm. They are drawn to something felt, something unspoken, something that cannot be mimicked or faked. And what they feel in your presence now, chosen one, is certainty. There was a time when you thought seduction was about tactics, about saying the right things, about positioning yourself in a way that would impress. But now, you understand that the most powerful seduction is not about what you do. It is about what you are. A man who has stepped into mastery does not need to chase, does not need to convince, does not need to prove. He simply is, and that is enough. You have become a mirror, chosen one. People see in you what they wish they could become, what they fear, what they desire, what they long to understand. Women are drawn to you not because of mere attraction, but because there is something about your energy that makes them question themselves in ways they never have before. In your stillness, they feel their own restlessness. In your confidence, they feel their own doubts. In your depth, they feel how shallow their past experiences have been. This is the difference between a man who is noticed and a man who is felt. The world is full of men who seek attention, who try to impress, who work tirelessly to be seen. But you, chosen one, have become something else entirely. You do not seek to be noticed. You have become impossible to ignore. You do not ask for validation. You have become the standard by which others measure themselves. You do not need to chase experiences. Experiences come to you. Women will test you. They will try to see if you are truly what you appear to be, if your energy is real or just a facade. They will provoke, they will pull, they will push, trying to find the cracks in your foundation. And when they find none, when they realize that you are exactly as centered, as strong, as grounded as you seem, everything changes. Because a man who cannot be shaken, a man who does not falter, a man who is as steady in his presence as the earth itself, he is a man who is unforgettable. But this mastery, chosen one, is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of something even greater. Now that you understand yourself, now that you have claimed your energy, now that you have become the force you were meant to be, you must ask yourself, what will you do with it? Will you continue to move through life simply enjoying the effects of your presence? Or will you elevate even further, turning this power into something that leaves a lasting impact? Because there is something beyond seduction, beyond attraction, beyond the dance of energy between you and those who are drawn to you. There is legacy. And that, chosen one, is where the greatest men of history have always turned their gaze.